everyone. Welcome to this 35 online lecture session of the course Engineering Thermodynamics. In the previous lecture, we had started our discussion on reciprocating type engines, and in particular, we have talked about four-stroke spark ignition engine. Okay, and we have come to know that for spark ignited engine, we can approximate, or we can consider it using our ideal cycle, and that particular ideal cycle is actually referred to as Otto cycle. Okay, and then we have also derived an expression for the efficiency of the Otto cycle, where we found that efficiency of Otto cycle increases with increase in its compression ratio. Okay, and we also found that in case of Otto cycle, we cannot go up to very high value of the compression ratio, because what will be happening? Beyond a certain limit, if we increase the compression ratio, then fuel will start igniting by its own, and we will be having some detrimental effect on the performance and life of the engine. Okay. Now, one more type of engine we are having, which is referred to as two-stroke SI engine. Okay. So, in the previous lecture, I told you why we call our engine as four-stroke cycle. So, in case of four-stroke cycle, what was happening? While piston was completing the overall mechanical as well as the thermodynamic cycle, it was having actually movement from bottom dead center to top dead center, or from bottom dead center to top dead center. This movement was actually 4 times. Okay, so it was completing the distance from TDC to BDC 4 times. That's why we were calling that cycle as nothing but four-stroke thermodynamic, 4-stroke spark ignition engine. Okay. Now over here we are having actually one modification, so which is referred to as two-stroke SI engine. In case of two-stroke SI engine, only in 2 strokes, means one time from top to bottom and other time from bottom to top, we will be completing our entire cycle. Okay, so here some of the processes happen simultaneously. Okay, so let me start explaining this particular schematic, whatever I have shown over here, from the first stroke as a power stroke. Okay, so what will be happening in case of power stroke? While this spark plug will be igniting some fuel, we will be having, so it will create some spark, because of which we will be having ignition of the homogeneous air fuel mixture. So once the air fuel mixture has ignited, at that time what will be happening? Now some high pressure gases will be acting on the piston, so because of which piston will move in downward direction. So now in this cycle, piston is actually moving from top dead center towards bottom dead center. Okay, and one important characteristic of this two-stroke engine is there. In this case, our whatever this bottom part is there, so below the cylinder you can see this curved portion is there, which is actually providing a cover to crankshaft. So this is our crankshaft, this is our connecting rod, and this is piston. Okay, so where our crankshaft is rotating, in this section we are having some cover over here. So this particular cover is actually referred, and within the cover we are having something, so that is referred to as actually nothing but our crankcase. Okay, so in case of two-stroke engine, what we generally do, this crankcase is nothing but airtight. Okay, so we are having actually air sealed crankcase. Okay, so that is one important characteristic of the two-stroke SI engines, that the crankcase of these two-stroke SI engines is nothing but airtight. Okay, so now what will be happening? In this case, we are not having any inlet valve or outlet valve, rather we are having some port for the intake and exhaust. Okay, so one of the port is here, so this is for exhaust of the products of combustion to outside, and this port over here we are having, this is intake port. So while piston will be moving down, then it will be opening, providing some opening, and through this opening actually mixture of air and fuel can go into the it can go into our cylinder. Okay, and from here we are having one more port, and this port actually allows entry of air and fuel mixture into our crankcase. Okay, so this is the schematic representation. Now what I was telling that while we are having the power stroke, we are having some high pressure gases which are acting over the piston, and because of these high pressure gases, now piston is moving in the downward direction. Okay, so while piston is moving in the downward direction, at that time what it will be doing, whatever this you are saying shaded portion we are having, so this shaded portion represents nothing but our mixture of fuel and air. Okay, so while this piston will be moving down, it will be actually decreasing the area over here. So this area will be decreased. So whenever this area is decreasing, it means it is partially compressing our air fuel mixture. Okay, so you can see our piston is moving down, so it means power stroke is happening, plus at the same point of time, in the crankcase, which is air sealed, we are having mixture of air and fuel. So this air and fuel mixture, its volume is actually also decreasing. So if its volume is decreasing, we are actually partially compressing air fuel mixture also. Okay. So this is simultaneous occurrence of power stroke as well as the partial compression of the air and fuel mixture. Okay, and when my position of piston will be below this point, when position of piston will be below this point, at that time what will be happening? You can clearly see while my piston is below this point, at that time these gases will have chance to pass through this exhaust port. Okay, so while piston is below this point, at that time we will be having chance for the exhaust gases which are above the piston to go out, and this intake port will allow fresh mixture of air and fuel to enter into the combustion chamber. Okay, so this is one important characteristic, and this will keep on happening. And once again, while piston will be moving from, so this is the case that during the power stroke, now piston has reached the position which is below the exhaust port and intake port. Okay, so that's why what will be happening now, this opening will be created for moving out the exhaust gases out of the cylinder, and over here we will be having some opportunity for partially compressed air fuel mixture to enter into the cylinder. Okay, and these openings are created in such a fashion, so that this fresh mixture of air and fuel will be actually further pushing this exhaust gases and will be trying to move these out of the exhaust port. Okay, so this is which will be happening during the downward motion of the piston. Okay, once this complete piston has reached to its bottom dead center, after that now piston will further start moving in upward direction. So once piston will move in upward direction, at that time what will be happening? Now we are having some fresh air and fuel mixture inside the cylinder. So during the upward motion, we will be having fresh air and fuel. Okay, so let me draw over here diagram once again. So what will be happening? This is our spark plug over here. Okay, and what we are having in this section, what will be happening? So this is our some support which will be providing inlet port. So now this is say my location of the piston, and now I have fresh air plus fuel mixture inside. So now I have fresh air plus fuel mixture inside, and now what will be happening? This piston will move from bottom dead center to top dead center. So now if this is my say BDC, so piston will move in upward direction. So while piston will be moving in upward direction, it will be compressing the mixture of fresh air and fuel, and at the same point of time it will be closing both these intake as well as the exhaust port, while piston body will be coming in front of these ports. Okay, so during that time we will be having compression of, so partial compression was already there, so now we will be having further compression of the fresh air and fuel mixture over here. Okay, and while this compression is happening, at that time obviously in the crankcase also we will be having increase in volume of the crankcase. So that's why we will be having some low pressure inside the crankcase, and that low pressure will allow fresh air and fuel mixture to enter into the crankcase. Okay, so over here from this point, what will be happening? While piston is moving in the top direction, our volume of the crankcase is also increasing. Okay, so because of that, this fresh air and fuel mixture will be entering, because now pressure inside the crankcase will be low. Okay, so this is how our piston, while it is moving in the upward direction, our crankcase is being charged with the mixture of fresh fuel and air, and at the same point of time, whatever the fresh air and fuel mixture we are having above the piston, that is actually compressed, and next spark is created. Okay, so once next spark is created, once again we will go to the power stroke. Okay, so over here you can see we have completed our entire cycle in 2 strokes. So why 2 strokes? Because first time during the power stroke as well as during the partial compression stroke, we were having actually only 1 stroke from TDC to BDC, and multiple processes has happened. And while piston has once again moved from bottom dead center to top dead center, then we have compression of the air fuel mixture, charge of the crankcase with the fresh air and fuel mixture, and at the same point of time we are having some compression also. So our cycle is now ready for the next power stroke. So that's why over here we are having a complete cycle, whatever all the processes are happening in only 2 strokes. Okay, so if these are happening only in 2 strokes, it means our entire cycle is completing only in 360 degrees of crank shaft rotation. Okay, so earlier I told you that in case of our 4-stroke cycle, our entire cycle was completing in 720 degrees of crank rotation. So we were getting only 1 power stroke for 2 revolution. Over here, for the 360 degree rotation of the crankshaft, we will be getting 1 power stroke. Okay, so it means if we take equivalent size engines, if we take equivalent power engines, 1 4-stroke and 1 2-stroke. So there are 2 important things. First is about the power to weight ratio. So as we are having less number of components in case of 2-stroke engine, so that's why for producing at the same point of time, if you see in terms of the number of power strokes for 4-stroke engine in 720 degree rotations, we are getting 1 power stroke. Okay, and for the corresponding, this is for 4-stroke, and for the corresponding 2-stroke engine, if I have 720 degrees rotation of the crankshaft, I will be getting how many power strokes? Nothing but 2 power strokes. So it means if we consider each and every behavior of our both the engines as ideal, it means we are not having any kind of practical losses associated. So under these cases, our 2-stroke cycle will produce 2 times power to that of equivalent 4-stroke cycle. Okay, so that's why power to weight ratio of 2-stroke engine will be high. Okay, so power to weight ratio of 2-stroke engine will be high in comparison to that of 4-stroke engine. So ideally we can say that if we are having one equivalent 2-stroke engine and equivalent 4-stroke engine, 2-stroke engine will be having ideally 2 times power to that of a 4-stroke engine. Okay, so that is from the ideal perspective. But if we see practically there are significant losses in case of 2-stroke engine in comparison to the 4-stroke engine. So what are the reasons? So one of the thing, while piston will be reaching at this position, it means it is below the exhaust and the intake port. At that time, we will be finding that while this exhaust gases are moving out, at that time fresh charge is also entering. So some amount of fresh charge can go outside without participating into combustion. Okay, so one of the disadvantages that some of the fresh charge can also go through the exhaust port while actually our exhaust is taking place, because intake and exhaust port are simultaneously open, and while exhaust is happening simultaneously, fresh charge is also entering. Okay, so this is one thing. And second thing, we will be having certain portions in our combustion chamber where some of the exhaust gases will be actually remaining inside. Okay, so all the exhaust gases will not be moving out. So that's why these exhaust gases, if are staying inside the combustion chamber, these will be actually affecting our overall combustion process of the fresh charge. Okay, so that's why generally the if we talk about in terms of ideally if we talk about practically if we talk in terms of losses, we are having more losses in case of two-stroke engine. So ideally, though, its power should be 2 times, but if it is not 2 times, so it may be more than that of equivalent four-stroke engine. Okay, so that is the ideal, that is the practical consideration. Okay. So this is all about two-stroke engine. So two-stroke engine were used in early days for doing small operations, for example, for moving, for having this lawn mower, then having this agricultural, in agricultural devices for providing the power. Okay. But because of their more losses associated with the two-stroke engines, their fuel economy is not that much good. So that's why these are nowadays almost obsolete. Okay. So now let me take up another kind of engine which we call as nothing but our
Weight ratio that you told, the weight refers to weight of what thing?
power to weight ratio, I told.
Yes, sir. Like, so the weight refers to the weight of the entire machine.
Yes, entire machine. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now we are having next cycle as nothing but
Sir,
our, yes.
sir, like in two-stroke engine or in four-stroke engine, suppose if in one power stroke the spark plug doesn't work and it is not
Yes.
able to ignite the air-fuel mixture, so it'll
Yes.
enter the second cycle. So will the air-fuel mixture present already there, which is not ignited, will it move out of the exhaust or will it remain there at that time?
It will move out of exhaust if it is having sufficient pressure. Okay, so if pressure, obviously if say ignition has not happened, then pressure will be slightly less in comparison to the pressure which could have been there after the exhaust. So whatever because of the pressure difference in between the cylinder and ambient pressure, whatever medium can move out, that much it will be moving. So some fraction will be going out. Okay. Okay, so
Sir,
now
do the air fuel mixture goes out from the exhaust from crankcase?
no, so it is slightly above the crankcase. Oh, crankcase, you are saying that whatever this port we are having, through this port, this bottom port you are referring to?
So from the exhaust port.
Yeah, exhaust port, obviously, there may be some chances for escape, but at that time, what will be happening? Our piston is moving in downward direction, so majority of the air and fuel mixture will be actually in the compressed phase. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So it is not having that much high sufficient pressure so that it can move through exhaust port. Okay, so now what we are having next important cycle as our diesel cycle. In this diesel cycle, now the difference is principle of operation is mechanically similar to that of our SI engine. The only difference is that here we will not be having any spark plug. Okay, so whatever the fuel we will be using, that fuel will be having characteristics of self-ignition, and we will be compressing our gaseous substance, our gases, air to temperature limit where our fuel can auto ignite. Okay, so what we do in case of diesel engine, so you can see the difference here. On the left hand side I have gasoline engine and on the right hand side I have diesel engine. Okay, so in case of gasoline engine, we are having mixture of air and fuel, and that mixture of air and fuel is actually ignited with the help of a spark plug. Okay, the key characteristic of diesel engine is that in case of diesel engine, we will only allow air to enter into the cylinder during the intake stroke. Okay, so this is one of the key difference, that in case of spark ignition engine, we allow mixture of air and fuel to come inside, whereas in case of diesel engine, we only allow air to enter into the cylinder. So we are only allowing air to enter into the cylinder. Okay, and so what we will be having, if you just draw the practical cycle, so practical cycle on the PV diagram, it will be say this is my atmospheric pressure. So I will be having this as my intake stroke. Okay, so during the intake stroke now only air is coming inside. So this is one of the key difference, that we are having only the inflow of air during the intake stroke. After that we will be doing compression. So now while we are compressing, we are only compressing air. So after the compression, then what we will be doing, then we will be having combustion. So how we achieve combustion in this process, we have not yet added fuel. Okay, so we will be having very high compression ratio over here, so that the temperature of this air is very high and it is sufficient enough to self-ignite the fuel. And what we do, in place of spark plug, we have fuel injector in our cylinder head. Okay, so in the cylinder head we are having fuel injector, and this fuel injector will be injecting fuel at very high pressure. Okay, and the characteristic of the fuel is such that as this fuel, whatever we are injecting through the fuel injector, it will be coming in contact with the high temperature gas, it will be auto igniting. Okay, so we will be having ignition of the fuel. So when our piston reaches close to top dead center, at that time our injection of the fuel starts. Okay, and whatever the fuel which has injected, that will be immediately start burning. And what will be having, because of the burning of the fuel, high pressure gases will be created, and these will try to move the piston in downward direction. So now we will be having process where piston is also moving downward, and we are also injecting further amount of fuel. Okay, so this injection process is not for only instant, it keeps on continuing till our till certain degrees of crankcase while our piston is moving in the downward direction. Okay, so it means the injection of fuel starts at condition when our piston is close to the top dead center, and this injection of fuel keep on moving, keep on happening when our piston is also moving in the downward direction. Okay, so up to certain motion of the piston in downward direction, we keep on adding our fuel. Okay, so that's why what happens in case of diesel cycle, we are having now situation where we are adding certain amount of fuel. That amount of fuel is actually burning, and it is releasing certain amount of energy, and because of that energy we are having some creation of the high pressure. But that high pressure we are not able to maintain, because what we are doing, that pressure is not rising, because along with the burning of the fuel, we are also slightly shifting the piston in downward direction. Okay, so what will be happening, if we are able to match the rate at which our piston is moving from top dead center to bottom dead center, if we match that rate with the rate at which we are injecting the fuel, we will be having some constant pressure situation during the fuel combustion process. Okay, so if this I consider as my combustion process, so combustion process will almost happen at constant pressure. Okay, and once we have stopped injecting the further amount of fuel, after that, while piston will be expanding, we will be having actually decrease in pressure. Okay, so that decrease in pressure will be happening, and once piston has reached the bottom dead center, after that point we will be having actually exhaust stroke. Okay, so this is like kind of practical cycle we are having. So the key difference is that all other processes are happening almost in similar manner to that of spark ignition engine. The key difference is we are only allowing mixture of air and fuel to allowing air to come inside, and that air we are compressing to temperature limit which can self-ignite the fuel, which we will be injecting, and in place of spark plug we are having fuel injector in the cylinder head, and that fuel injector will be actually injecting some fuel at very high pressure. Okay, so this high pressure fuel will be actually instantly igniting in the air, and this injection of the fuel we will be continuing for some duration while our piston is actually doing the power stroke. Okay, and if we are able to match the rate of piston expansion and the rate at which fuel is actually being supplied, then we will be able to maintain almost constant pressure during the combustion process. Okay, So now this is about the actual cycle, but if we have to consider the equivalent version of the equivalent thermodynamic cycle for this type of device, so what we have to do, we have to replace this fuel addition process with the heat addition process, and we have to replace exhaust process with the heat rejection process. Okay, so by considering that assumption of equivalent thermodynamic cycle, we get some cycle which we call as diesel cycle. Okay, so basically diesel engine was first developed by Rudolf Diesel. So after this, after his name, actually this cycle is named as nothing but diesel cycle. Okay, so in this diesel cycle, what we are having, 1 to 2 process is actually isentropic compression process. So this isentropic compression is similar to that what we have seen in our SI engine, spark ignition engine. Okay, after that, in case of spark ignition engine, once the spark is created, majority of the combustion was happening at the constant volume condition. So this was happening in case of SI engine, that all the combustion was happening at the constant volume condition. Whereas in case of diesel engine, what we are having, combustion of the fuel is actually happening at constant pressure condition. Why constant pressure condition? Because we are injecting the fuel, so fuel is burning, and the rate at which fuel is burning, we are also expanding the piston, we are also moving the piston at the same rate in downward direction. Okay, so if the rate of increase of volume matches with the rate at which heat is released, we will be having almost constant pressure condition during the combustion process. Okay, so this 2 to 3 is actually combined combustion plus power. So here we are having combustion of air and fuel also, plus we are having generation of power also. Okay, and at point number 3, we have actually stopped injecting further the amount of fuel. So that's why from point number 3 to point number 4, now we will be having isentropic expansion over here. Okay, and during this isentropic expansion, obviously we are getting power also. Okay, so and at point number 4, once piston has reached at bottom dead center, then we will be rejecting some amount of heat at constant volume condition to once again come back to the initial point. Okay, so this is the ideal cycle which is employed in case of our diesel engines. Okay, so now let me do the thermodynamic analysis of this one. So in case of Otto cycle, if you remember, we have defined one ratio which we called as compression ratio R, and R was nothing but equal to V1 divided by V2. For this diesel engine, along with the compression ratio, we will be defining one more ratio which we call as nothing but cutoff ratio. Okay, and cutoff ratio is generally depicted by symbol RC. So RC is nothing but equal to volume at which we have actually stopped injecting the fuel. So this is our volume V3 divided by volume at which our injection of the fuel has started. So that is nothing but volume V2. Okay, so for the case of diesel engine, what we are having, one important point we have seen over here. So the important point is that we are having some cutoff ratio, and that cutoff ratio is nothing but the ratio of volumes at which our fuel injection stops and the volume at which our fuel injection starts. Okay, and during this fuel injection process, we are having expansion of the piston, so that's why simultaneously combustion and the power stroke are happening. Okay, so now if I define amount of heat added, so Q in, if I apply, so this is nothing but my closed system. So if I apply first law of thermodynamics, so Q in I am adding minus P times. So during the combustion process, 2 to 3 is my combustion process, and this is actually represented as nothing but heat addition process. So during the heat addition process, my pressure is constant. So I can write pressure as constant, P times into volume is nothing but V3 minus V2. So this is my PdV work during the process number 2 to 3, and this will be nothing but equal to change in internal energy. So change in internal energy is U2 minus U1. Okay, so now if I write this, if I take this P into V term on the, so this should be, I am writing it wrongly, this should be U3 minus U2. Okay, because my initial state is 2 and final state is 3. So this is for process number 2 to 3. So this equation, whatever I am writing, this equation I am writing for process number 2 to 3. So for process number 2 to 3, Q in is equal to minus P V3 minus V2, which will be equal to U3 minus U2. So now if I take this PV into the right hand side, I will be finally finding that Q in is nothing but equal to Cp, or if I write in terms of enthalpy, it will be first H3 minus H2, and H3 minus H2 I can then further write as nothing but Cp times T3 minus T2. Okay, so this will be my heat added, and if I have to calculate the heat output, so whatever the heat we have rejected, that will be nothing but equal to minus Q out, and for this process, for this heat rejection process, PDV will be equal to 0, so minus 0, and that will be equal to U1 minus U4. So from here I will be getting my Q out equal to nothing but CV times T4 minus T1. Okay, so now if I have to define the efficiency of the diesel cycle, so efficiency of diesel cycle will be 1 minus Q out divided by Q in, and Q out we have nothing but equal to, what is the value of Q out? CV times T4 minus T1, and Q in is Cp times T3 minus T2. Okay, so from here I can write that efficiency of the diesel cycle is nothing but 1 minus 1 by gamma, because what we are having this ratio of Cp by Cv. So denominator we are having Cp and numerator we are having Cv. So it will be becoming 1 by gamma into T4 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2. Okay, so now what we will be doing, now let me consider one by one different processes. So this same cycle I have represented on the TS diagram. So 1 to 2 is isentropic compression, 2 to 3 is constant pressure heat addition, 3 to 4 is expansion, reversible adiabatic expansion, and then 4 to 1 is constant volume heat rejection. Okay, now if I take process number 1 to 2, for process number 1 to 2 I can write T1 V1 gamma minus 1 equal to T2 V2 gamma minus 1. So from here I will be finding T2 is nothing but equal to T1 times V1 by V2 gamma minus 1. So V1 is our total volume, V2 is our clearance volume. Okay, so that's why this I can write as nothing but T1 times compression ratio power gamma minus 1. So this is the relation I have got for T2. Now if I see process number 2 to 3, process number 2 to 3 is constant, it is constant pressure process. So if I write my equation PV equal to RT, from here I can say that V by T will be equal to constant. So this implies that V2 by T2 will be equal to V3 by T3 for process number 2 to 3. So I can determine that T3 is nothing but equal to T2 times V3 by V2. And what is V3 by V2? V3 by V2 I have defined you in the previous slide. V3 by V2 is nothing but our cutoff ratio. Okay, so this I will be getting as T2 times RC, where RC is nothing but our cutoff ratio. Similarly, now if I take process number 3 to 4, for process number 3 to 4, it is once again our isentropic process. So I can write T3 V3 gamma minus 1 equal to T4 V4 gamma minus 1. Okay, so from here I will be finding T4 as nothing but equal to T4 I will be finding as nothing but equal to T3 times V3 by V4 power gamma minus 1. Okay, so now it is difficult to relate this V3 and V2. So what we will be doing, we will be actually multiplying both numerator and denominator by V2. So we will be having V3 by V2 times V2 divided by V4 power gamma minus 1. Okay, so from here I'll be finding T4 as nothing but equal to, T3 times. So what is V3 by V2? V3 by V2 is nothing but our cutoff ratio. So RC power gamma minus 1. And what is V2 by V4? So if you see the previous diagram, you will be finding that V4 is nothing but equal to V1. Okay, so V4 is nothing but equal to, this volume is nothing but equal to V1. So we know V2 by V1 is nothing but equal to 1 divided by R to power gamma minus 1. Okay, so this is the relation for T4. Now what I will be doing, all the values of T4, T3, T2, I will be replacing in my main equation of efficiency, and I will substitute all these values in terms of T1 so that I can later on take T1 common and cancel it. Okay, so if I now do this replacement, I will be finding efficiency of diesel cycle as nothing but 1 minus 1 by gamma times, in place of T4 I can write T3 times RC power gamma minus 1 into R power 1 minus gamma. So basically I am having 1 by R gamma minus 1. So I can write it as R times 1 minus gamma. Okay. And now I have taken over here T3. T3 I can write T2 times RC. So I am taking RC over here. Then T2 I can write as T1 times R gamma minus 1. So over here now I will be writing R gamma minus 1 into T1 and this minus T1. Okay, so everything I have substituted over here in terms of T1. Same thing I will be doing in the denominator. So in the denominator, if you see, I have T3 minus T2. So T3 is nothing but equal to, if you see, T3 we are having as T2 times RC. Okay, so T3 is T2 times RC. So I'll be writing first RC, and T2 I can write T1 times R gamma minus 1. So I'll be writing over here R gamma minus 1 into T1 minus what we are having over here T2. So T2 I can simply write T1 times R gamma minus 1. So T1 times R gamma minus 1. So this is my overall equation. Now you can see here we are having R1 minus gamma. Here we are having R gamma minus 1. So this will be cancelling with this one. Here we have RC gamma minus 1. Here we have RC. So this one power will be cancelling, and T1 will be cancelling from all the terms. So in the numerator I can write eta equal to 1 minus 1 by gamma times numerator I will be having RC power gamma minus 1. Okay, and divided by, in the denominator if you see, we have this R gamma minus 1 common in both the terms. So I will be taking out first R power gamma minus 1 outside, and inside I will be having nothing but RC minus 1. So this is nothing but my efficiency of the diesel cycle. Okay, and now you have already seen the efficiency of the Otto cycle. So efficiency of Otto cycle was nothing but 1 minus 1 divided by R to power gamma minus 1. So I can write efficiency of the diesel cycle is nothing but equal to efficiency of Otto cycle. Okay, so I will not over here relate. Let me just further tell. But the only thing I can say from here, that if value of 1 by gamma into RC power gamma minus 1 divided by RC minus 1. So if value of this entire ratio is tending to 1, at that time our efficiency of diesel cycle will be approaching to efficiency of the Otto cycle. Okay, so that is something which I can claim over here. So when this value is actually approaching to 1, at that time our this efficiency of diesel will become equivalent to efficiency of the Otto cycle. Okay, or in other words, I can also say when my value of cutoff ratio will be actually approaching to 0. Okay, so if cutoff ratio approaches to 0, then also my efficiency will be equal to nothing but efficiency of diesel cycle will be equal to that of the efficiency of the Otto cycle. Okay, so now if you see over here, now apart from only the compression ratio, we are having cutoff ratio also involved in the efficiency of the diesel cycle. So that's why what we have to do, if I represent the efficiency plot for diesel cycle as function of compression ratio. So the variation will be something like this. And apart from that, over here, what we will be having? We will be having one additional parameter. So that additional parameter is nothing but our cutoff ratio. Okay. So what is the additional parameter I am having? I am having one additional parameter as cutoff ratio. So you can see for different cutoff ratios, we are having different plots. And when cutoff ratio is actually approaching to 1, when cutoff ratio is approaching to 1. So if RC is equal to 1, it means V3 by V2 equal to 1. So this implies V3 is equal to V2. So if V3 is equal to V2, it means our combustion is happening at the constant volume condition. Okay. So for cutoff ratio of 1, our efficiency of the cycle will be becoming equivalent to that of Otto cycle. And when we are increasing the cutoff ratio, upon increase of cutoff ratio, it means from shifting Otto mode to diesel cycle mode, our value of efficiency decreases at given value of compression ratio. Okay. So this is one important point we have got, that when we are taking the same value of the compression ratio, at same value of compression ratio, upon increasing the cutoff ratio, it means upon moving away from the Otto cycle mode, when we are moving towards the more cutoff ratios, means when we are moving in the diesel cycle, our value of efficiency is decreasing. Okay. But still, we use our diesel engines in case of the heavy vehicles. So this is one very important question, that thermodynamically, if we see, thermodynamically we are able to see that efficiency of Otto cycle is more in comparison to the efficiency of the diesel cycle, because for diesel cycle cutoff ratio is always greater than 1. Okay, so that's why from this diagram I can say that efficiency of Otto cycle is thermodynamically more in comparison to the efficiency of the diesel cycle. Okay, but still we use our diesel engines in case of the heavy machineries and heavy vehicles. So what is the reason? Okay, so the reason is that first point is diesel fuel is actually less costly. Okay, that is one point. But what is the meaning of using less costly fuel if our thermodynamic efficiency is less? Okay, so the reason is, if you remember my previous lecture, there I have told that my SI engine operates in the range of 8 to 12 compression ratio. Okay, so SI engine operate in the range of 8 to 12 compression ratio, whereas diesel engine operates in the range of somewhere 12 to 24. So this is the range of operation of the compression ignition engine. So basically these are called as compression ignition engine, because we are compressing our air to very high temperature value, so that whatever the fuel we are injecting, that fuel will be actually auto igniting. Okay, so in case of diesel engine, we are having very high value of the compression ratio. Okay, so the idea is we know that if we are increasing the value of the compression ratio, upon increase in value of the compression ratio, obviously our efficiency will be improving. But we are having the limitation from operational point of view in case of spark ignition engine, that we cannot go to very high value of the charge at which self ignition starts, because we are having homogeneous mixture inside, and that self ignition of the homogeneous mixture will be creating actually detonation. Okay, whereas in case of compression ignition engines, only we are having air inside, so we can go up to very high value of the temperature. So that's why we can go up to very high value of the compression ratios. So that's why diesel engines are normally operated at high value of compression ratio. So now let me compare. For example, if I have one diesel engine with cutoff ratio 2 and it is operating say at compression ratio of 22. So I will be having efficiency over here something like this. And if I have Otto cycle which is operating at say compression ratio of 10, so I will be having efficiency somewhere over here. Okay, so that is the difference actually. Thermodynamically, if we are able to achieve the same compression ratio in case of SI engines also, in case of Otto cycle also, obviously we will be having better efficiency, but we cannot go up to very high compression ratio in case of SI engines because of the characteristics of the fuel whatever we are using. So that's why practically compression ignition or diesel cycles are operated up to very high value of the compression ratio. So this makes it more efficient in comparison to the Otto cycle under the practical conditions. Okay, so thermodynamically, if we compare under the same set of parameters, then obviously Otto is performing better. But if we consider from the practical users perspective, if we go up to very high compression ratio in case of practical diesel engines, we will be finding their efficiency is more in comparison to the efficiency of the corresponding petrol engine. So that's why for all the heavy machineries, transportation vehicle, goods carriers, we use actually our diesel engines. Okay, but one difference is there. In case of diesel engine, if you see, their size will be more bulky and their weight will be more because of the high compression ratio under the practical conditions. Okay, so that's why their size and weight is actually large in comparison to the petrol engine. So that is the one difference. Okay, so this is all about the diesel cycle. After the diesel cycle, we are having one more cycle which we call as nothing but our dual cycle. So in case of dual cycle, what we do, we try to move towards closer to the practical situation. Okay, so in case of Otto cycle, we have assumed that our combustion process is isochoric. In case of diesel cycle, we have used our combustion process is isobaric. So here volume was constant, here pressure was constant. But if you see the actual, diagram, if you see the actual cycle diagram, you will be finding that after the compression, our cycle moves something like this. So this is how our actual cycle looks like. Okay, so you can see if you equate to this actual cycle, you will be finding that part of the combustion process I can consider as constant volume, and part of the combustion process I can consider as nothing but constant process. So this is what we call as dual cycle. In case of dual cycle, we consider some 2 to X process as nothing but constant volume heat addition, and then X to 3 process as nothing but our constant pressure heat addition. Okay, so this dual cycle is actually having closest approximation to that of our practical cycles. Okay, so already I have defined you two parameters. One is compression ratio, which is nothing but V1 by V2. Second, I have defined you cutoff ratio, sorry, which is nothing but equal to V3 by Vx with reference to this particular diagram. Now for the dual cycle, we are having one more ratio which we call as nothing but pressure ratio. Okay, so this pressure ratio is defined by symbol Rp, and pressure ratio will be nothing but equal to pressure of point X divided by pressure at point number 2. Okay, so during the constant volume heat addition process, whatever rise in pressure we are having, if we take that to that of the pressure after the compression process, that we define as nothing but our pressure ratio, and cutoff ratio already we have defined during the constant pressure heat addition process for diesel engine, so that we define as V3 by Vx, and compression ratio is actually required in all. Okay, so what we have to do, if we have to do this thermodynamic analysis, so we will be you can do the thermodynamic analysis now by your own, because I have already shown you for Otto cycle, for diesel cycle. So for this dual cycle, you can try the thermodynamic analysis by your own by following the procedure whatever I have shown in the previous cycle, and try to find out the efficiency of dual cycle. Okay, so this is homework assignment to you. You have to do the thermodynamic analysis of this cycle, and you have to find out the efficiency of the dual cycle. Okay. Now let me compare the efficiency of these cycles based on some range of parameters. So first, let me consider that we are having same compression ratio for all three engines. Okay, so we are having same compression ratio for all three, Otto, diesel and dual. If we have to compare which one is more efficient, then if I take pressure along ordinate and volume along abscissa, say this is my Otto cycle over here. So this is my Otto cycle, process number 1 to 2, then 2 to 3 constant volume heat addition, and then I have nothing but 3 to 4 expansion, and then 4 to 1 is the heat rejection process. So now if I have to operate the cycle for same value of compression ratio, my diesel cycle has to start from this point. Okay, so if I have to keep compression ratio same, I cannot, if I have to keep compression ratio same, it means I cannot temper this point number 1 and 2. So point number 1 and 2 has to be same. So that's why my diesel cycle has to move from point number 2 through this path. So this will be my point number 3 dash. And so if I now write the Otto cycle, so Otto cycle is actually process number 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If I now write the diesel cycle is 1, 2, 3 dash 4, 1. And now if I have to operate dual cycle over here, so for dual cycle, what I can do, I can slightly go above up to some point 2 dash, and then from there I can move in the constant pressure manner till point say 3 double dash. So my dual cycle will be 1, 2, 2 dash. Then I will be having after 2 dash 3 double dash, then 4, then 1. So these are my different cycles over here. So now you can see if I have say same compression ratio, for same compression ratio, the area enclosed within the PV diagram is highest for Otto cycle, then and least for the diesel cycle. So area under PV diagram is nothing but represents the net amount of work produced by the cycle. So that's why I can say efficiency of Otto cycle is more than efficiency of dual cycle, and then we will be having efficiency of the diesel engine. Okay, now one more thing we can consider. If we consider that say we are having we are limited by the same highest pressure in the cycle. So another parameter of comparison I can take same highest pressure of the cycle. So same highest pressure of the cycle, if based on this I compare the different cycles. So let me first draw the PV diagram. So let me first draw it for diesel cycle. So for diesel cycle, it will be something like this. Okay, 3 and 4. So this is my diesel cycle. So now if I have to go up to the same highest pressure, so that's why Otto cycle I have to operate in this fashion. Okay, why in this fashion? Because in Otto cycle I have to do the combustion process at the constant volume condition, and while I am doing combustion at constant volume condition, I cannot go for the pressure value above than the highest pressure value P2 and P3. So for all the cycles, highest pressure has to be same. So that's why now my Otto cycle will be 1, 2 dash 3, 4, 1. And if I have to see the dual cycle, so dual cycle will be something like this: 2 double dash 2, 3 dash. Okay, so here Otto cycle is 1, 2 dash, 1, 2 dash, then 3, 4, 1. Here, if I consider the diesel cycle, so if I consider the dual cycle is 1, then I have 2 double dash, then I have 3 dash, then 3, then 4, and then 1. And if I consider diesel cycle over here, so diesel cycle is nothing but simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so in this case, if we have to operate the cycle for same highest pressure, efficiency of the diesel cycle will be more. Then we will be having efficiency of dual cycle, and then we will be having efficiency of the Otto cycle. Okay, so now after this, okay, what I will be doing, I will stop at this point, and now we will have further discussion in our next lecture. Okay.